Hi guys, it's Little Girl from A Smile on Her Lips But Cuts on Her Wrist, the page on Facebook. A couple of weeks ago I asked you guys if you'd want me to post a video of me explaining my experience with self-harm and like going to the hospital for it and stuff like that. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. So I guess I should kind of start with my my experience with self-harm. About a year ago, my parents, they found out that I was self-harming, and they went and they got me help and stuff like that, and they thought I was totally just A-okay after that. But by midsummer, I was getting really bad. Like, I hadn't stopped. They thought I'd stopped. It was getting very bad, which is actually about the same time that I made this page. So, yeah. And about a month after school had started, I've had a good relationship with my school counselor, and I told him that I was self-harming and that I think I need help, and that one of my friends had gone to the hospital for it, and it seemed like it had helped her a lot. So I thought maybe it would help me. So he said, yeah, maybe it will, probably. So he called my stepmother, and she took me straight from school to Children's Hospital, and they gave me like the regular routine exam, like when you go in there, they weigh you and all that other stuff. And then they took me to this room, and first I want to explain this room because it kind of, how it was made was it kind of struck out to me. The windows, in order to close the blinds, there wasn't any strings. You had to push this button, and there was nothing, all the corners in the room were rounded off. It was basically a room where you could not hurt yourself at all. There was a cabinet with a TV inside of it, and there was no remote. You had to push buttons on the screen, and there was a regular old just hospital bed in one chair. And so we went in that room, we waited for a little while. The lady, one of the nurses I think it was, she then came in with a sheet, and she brought the sheet because there's a video camera in the room to make sure you're not hurting yourself. They can check in on you. And she brought the sheet so that I wouldn't have to expose myself to the video camera if I had, because she wanted to see my my cuts. But she didn't need to use the sheet because they were just on my ankles and stuff like that. But just to let you know that you won't have to have people see you if you do go to the hospital. They do have sheets and stuff like that. So then she saw them to make sure they weren't infected or too deep or anything like that. And then she left. And then my stepmother, she had to leave to go pick up a boy that she babysits. So at this point I was completely alone, and I was kind of pacing back and forth in the room just to calm myself. And at this point the doctor came in, like the psychologist type person, I'm guessing. And he talked to me, and he asked, how suicidal are you from a scale of 1 to 10, stuff like this, like how many times have you done it, just like general questions about what was going on with me. And he came to the conclusion that, well, I said, when he asked how suicidal was from a scale of 1 to 10, I was at that moment a 4. Because I wasn't very suicidal, but I mean, like, you know. So he said he couldn't admit me to the hospital unless I was an 8, 9, or 10. And sometimes they don't even admit 8s, which to me, it was kind of shocking, because if you're suicidal at all, shouldn't you be admitted? And he said he couldn't admit us, and I'm like, or not us, me. And he said that since I didn't have an eating disorder, or, well, a classified eating disorder, or anything like that, like anything very substantial and like critical, I couldn't be admitted, which in my mind it was translating to, my problems don't matter, she's just gonna go home, whatever. I felt very upset, because to me, he was basically saying, well, he was basically looking at me like I was just some suburban white girl that was having a little bit of trouble at home and wanted attention, which I was so not. Even though it kind of sounded like it, but that's just the accent of where I live. So I was really upset. And then they sent me home and they gave me this pamphlet for a place called PHP, and I would be going, it's like, PHP, it stands for Partial Hospitalization Program. It is like, you go there at 8 in the morning and then you leave at 3:30. So you get to sleep at home, but you're still in the hospital. So I went and did that, but I still had to go to school for the next 2 days until they had a spot open for me, which was really tough because everybody's wondering, where were you? Why did you go home so early? And yeah. And so on my first day, I went there, and this is basically the schedule of the day you have there. You go there, you have an hour worth of schooling, which counts for a day of school at your school, so you won't have any absence. Like, they'll be absent, but they'll be counted as, like, doctor excuse. So it'll be like you were there anyways. And then you have a snack, and then you go to morning check-in. Basically, they ask you, are you suicidal or homicidal? Have you hurt yourself any way? Have you used any drugs or alcohol? What's your general mood from 1 to 10? Stuff like that. And you fill out a paper, and the other people in the room ask you. There's about 10 people in your group, and I was in group A, and then there's a group B. And it's the same with that. And then after that, you go to yoga, which when I first started yoga, I really didn't like it. To be honest, because I didn't like it. But the cool thing about yoga is that it found out that it really does calm you down, and at the end of it, you get to have a little nap. So that's awesome. And you do that for about an hour. And then you go to, I forget what it's called, but it's basically just like talking time. Like, you each get a certain amount of time. If you want to talk about something or talk through something, you get to have that moment to do it. I can't remember what it's called for the life of me. I'm sorry. But then after that, you eat lunch, and then you have DBT, which is learning like coping skills. I don't remember what DBT stands for. It's been a while since I was there. It's coping skills, like for when you want to self-harm, when you're angry, when you're upset. Like, it wasn't just people that self-harm that was there. There's people with anger problems. There's people with anxiety, social anxiety, depression, self-harm, sexual abuse, just all kinds of things. Like, somebody was there because they threatened his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. Like, it wasn't just people there that were self-harming and depressed and stuff like that. There's people with eating disorders there. It was the whole variety of mental health. And then after DBT, you got, I think is when you have the other snack. You get 2 snacks. And then you go to art therapy, which is really fun. She gives you kind of the thing that you're supposed to paint, and then you can make it in to your own way. Like for the first couple of days, because when you go there, they continue throughout the year. So when you go there, it won't just be like that's their first day. Like when I came there, one person, that was like their 3rd day, and you go there for 10 days. 10 days. So on my first day, we made this like flannel thing, and you're supposed to think of one positive word that you know is true about yourself. And I said friendly, because I'm often told that I'm friendly. So I made that word, and it made me feel really good about myself. Then we made spirit sticks and stuff, and it was just a whole bunch of fun. And it really helped. I found out it really helped relieve the stress. And then you had checkout, which they asked you the same questions as check-in, and yeah. So I did that for 10 days, and it was really a lot of fun. Like, I wish I could just have school like that every day, although I did very much miss my friends. So by the time they actually kept me there for 11 days because they thought it would be beneficial for me to be there 1 extra day. So the day that I went back to school, though, it was one of the hardest days of my life. I have no explanation as why it was, but it was horrible. Not saying that you're gonna have the same experience, just for me it was. Like, and I don't know why. All my friends, when I came out of the car, they were like hugging me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're back! So happy you're back!" But I wasn't, because I had been in PHP for 10 days, and what I mean by 10 days is like 10 like school days, you know? So it was 2 weeks. And I ended up having like a panic attack, and like I went into the nurse's office because um I just I wasn't feeling well, like not because I wasn't feeling well like physically, I wasn't feeling well emotionally. And I laid in a room, and that's when I had my first suicide attempt. I was wearing my boyfriend's hoodie and I tried to choke myself. And that was when I self-harmed for the first time after PHP. So if you do go to the hospital, I really do recommend you go into the transition very slowly, maybe just like do a half day or have somebody with you the whole time, because it is very hard. But after that, the days did get easier and everything went back to normal. And it really did benefit me. Going to the hospital was one of the best decisions I've probably made in my whole life. It benefited me tremendously. While I was there, I also got diagnosed with anxiety, which I didn't know I had. But now I do know, so now I'm treated for it. Like, even if you're not suicidal or anything like that, you can always go into PHP, or if you have an eating disorder, PHP helps too. Just, if you're having any problems like that, just go to the hospital. They help you so much. My experience was like the best experience ever. I met so many nice people that I'm still friends with today. And now I use all the things that I learned from the hospital to help you guys, to help my friends, to help everybody. And it was just one of the best things I've ever done with my life. And because I went there, I now plan to become a psychologist. And it's just, if you can, then go. Even if you think your parents won't let you, under state law, they have to. If you're having a mental health disorder and you need help, they have to give you the help. Even if you don't have insurance or anything like that, you have to go. The government will make up for it some way or somehow, but you need to go. If you need to go, you need to go, because it helps so much. And I guess that's it. That's kind of all I have to say on it. I guess all I have to say is goodbye, guys. I love you. Stay strong. Bye.